Jimmy Cliff was more than a musician. He was a bridge between Jamaica and the world, carrying reggae across oceans and turning it into a global language. Tonight, fans are remembering the legendary artist who passed away at 81. The family confirmed his death came after complications from a seizure and pneumonia. He was a native son of Jamaica, a two-time Grammy winner, and a Rock and Roll Hall of Fame member. His passing marked the end of an era, but it also raised questions about the quiet years of his life. Years that only became clear after his daughter, Lily Cliff, stepped forward to share what had been hidden behind the silence. The quiet years. Since 2020, Jimmy Cliff gradually withdrew from the public eye. The pandemic halted tours, and his body began to show the strain of time. When he received the Reggae Gold Award in Kingston, he needed crutches to reach the podium, and the image spread quickly across Jamaica, reminding fans that their hero was fighting both illness and time. A year later, he underwent knee surgery and was forced to stop performing indefinitely. He moved to Montego Bay with his wife, Latifah Chambers, living in a small seaside house, and by 2023, he had almost vanished from public life. Health declines and final days. A close friend later revealed that his health declined sharply in early 2024, and doctors diagnosed him with chronic pneumonia. He began using a breathing aid at home, and by September 2025, his condition worsened, requiring hospitalization at the University Hospital of the West Indies in Kingston. He remained conscious and often asked to hear "Many Rivers to Cross," a song that became a kind of anthem for his final days. On the morning of November 24th, a sudden convulsion ended his life, and he passed away peacefully in the arms of his family, a farewell of music and simplicity. His wife described the moment as strangely peaceful, with the sound of the heart monitor slowly fading away. The family returned his body to Montego Bay, where locals welcomed the funeral convoy with flowers and songs playing softly from roadside speakers. The next day, thousands gathered in Kingston to pay their respects. The authorities built a small memorial stage where young artists performed his songs, honoring his legacy in the most authentic way. Those close to him said he requested a simple funeral, with no speeches or elaborate rituals. He wanted the music to be his final voice, and his family honored that wish. The daughter who spoke. Just days after the funeral, Lily Cliff, his eldest daughter, stepped forward to share the truth that had been kept private. She explained that her father chose to fight his illness quietly because he didn't want anyone's pity, only to be remembered through his music. In her first public statement, she confirmed that Jimmy had suffered from pneumonia and heart disease for 2 years, but kept it secret so he wouldn't burden anyone. She revealed that even during his illness, he continued writing music, keeping a notebook beside his bed and jotting down ideas. He once told her, "If a man can no longer sing, let the song sing for him." Words that later became the opening line of his unfinished memoir, A Dream That Faded. Lily shared that Jimmy had planned to return to the stage in 2024, but his health made it impossible. He often spoke of his old audiences in Kingston and the packed stadiums where he once performed, smiling as he remembered them and saying, "My music is still there, only now I listen instead of sing." She also addressed rumors about his disillusionment with the music industry, explaining that he felt reggae had become commercialized and lost some of its original spirit. Still, he never abandoned the genre. He chose silence to protect the purity of his beliefs and his art. The memoir and final wishes. Lily mentioned his handwritten memoir, Songs of the Soul, begun in 2010, containing reflections on life, faith, and aging. One passage read, "I sang for peace, but the world grows louder," capturing the heart of a man who spent his life letting music speak for him. In his final days, he asked the family to play the original recording of Many Rivers to Cross, and he requested that his funeral remain simple, without grand ceremonies. He wanted the sea and the music to speak for him, and that is why his family chose cremation and scattered his ashes into the sea at Montego Bay, where he wrote his first songs. From Somerton to the World. Jimmy Cliff was born James Chambers in 1944 in Somerton, a small rural village in Jamaica. His family was poor but rich in music, and he began singing in the church choir as a child. He taught himself guitar using bicycle brake wires, and at 14 he moved to Kingston to pursue his dream. He sang in bars just to earn a meal, and it was there that producer Leslie Kong discovered him. His first song, Hurricane Hattie, became a hit and marked the beginning of a career that would span nearly 6 decades. A rising star and cultural symbol. From 1965 to 1970, Jimmy released a string of hits, including Miss Jamaica and Wonderful World, Beautiful People. He became a symbol of Jamaica's post-independence spirit, often saying his music was a tribute to his homeland. His songs reflected optimism, faith, and unity, the pillars of reggae. Then in 1972, everything changed when he starred in The Harder They Come, performing the entire soundtrack. The film and its music introduced reggae to the world, making Jimmy Cliff the face of the genre and a global cultural ambassador. He famously said, "I don't want people to just hear reggae, I want them to hear Jamaica." The cost of fame. Despite his success, the late 1970s brought in a conflict. He felt the music industry was changing the spirit of reggae, and he struggled with the expectations that came with fame. In the early 1980s, he left Island Records after a copyright dispute, moving to England and experimenting with new styles. Though his music received praise, sales declined, and he began to withdraw from public life. By 1985, friends said he fell into depression and lived quietly, spending time reading and meditating, almost completely disconnected from the music scene. A quiet return and new faith. In 1991, Jimmy was inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, attending the ceremony alone and leaving quietly afterward. He returned to Jamaica, revisiting his childhood places and re-evaluating his life. By the early 1990s, he settled permanently in Jamaica, embracing Islam and changing his name to Alhaj Naim Bashir. He remarried Latifah Chambers and found peace in prayer and family life. His music became less about rebellion and more about healing, faith, and forgiveness. A lasting legacy. In the 2000s, Jimmy Cliff returned to public life through charity work and cultural preservation. He became a UNESCO Peace Ambassador, sharing his beliefs about the power of music to unite people. In 2012, he released Rebirth, an album praised as a deeply human comeback, reflecting his life's journey and growth. By the late 2010s, he chose to live quietly in Montego Bay, believing that reggae would continue even without him on stage. He said, "Reggae is not dead, I just don't need to stand before the microphone anymore," a sentiment that reflected his peaceful acceptance of aging and time. The immortal legacy. After his passing, the family announced they were editing his memoir, Songs of the Soul, set for release in 2026 as his final farewell. The Jamaican Ministry of Culture also announced plans to build a Jimmy Cliff Cultural Centre in Montego Bay, featuring exhibits of his instruments, manuscripts, and personal artifacts, along with a small stage for young artists to perform reggae. Somerton High School renamed its music room Jimmy Cliff Hall, ensuring students remember that a legend came from humble beginnings. A foundation was created in his name to fund music scholarships for underprivileged children, fulfilling his lifelong belief that music belongs to everyone. A voice that still speaks. Most of his ashes were scattered into the sea at Montego Bay, while a small portion was placed in a memorial engraved with the words, "He sang for freedom, he lived for love." Every evening, locals bring flowers and play his songs by the shore, keeping his memory alive. Radio stations still play his music daily, reminding Jamaica that as long as reggae lives, Jimmy Cliff remains part of the nation's heart. His legacy is not only in his melodies, but in the spirit of resilience and hope he inspired across generations, proving that music can be immortal when it comes from the soul.